Hey Frequent Flower subscribers, it's Sarah LaBoo with Main Street Florist, and I'm here this month to give you a little tutorial on your Frequent Flower subscription. We have some beautiful cremones this month. They're sort of they call them an orange, they call them Rosetta orange, but really they're sort of a buttery, yellowy orange. I'm ready for fall. I don't know about you guys. We've also got some hypericum berries. This shade is red. Depending on your bouquet, you might have red, you might have white, and you might have green. Our greenery this month is variegated pittosporum. And then we also have some astrantia. So this really delicate flower, we don't get in the shop all that often, but I always enjoy working with it. It fills in nicely, but it's just, they're so dainty and beautiful. I've seen them in larger blooms. These are more of a spray where we've got multiple blooms on a stem. So don't the larger blooms, but they're a little more delicate, a little smaller headed, but they are still just as pretty. So in the tutorial this month, I want to highlight an item that we just started carrying in the shop. So this is a pin frog. These are reusable plastic pin frogs, and they're really helpful when designing in a container that might have a larger mouth than your traditional vase. So if we put all these blooms in a vase, they're going to stand up pretty nicely. But say you've got maybe a low container or something really large. Sometimes if you don't have a ton of blooms to fill that vase, it's very hard to get them to stay in place. That's where the pin frog comes in handy, and it's going to help keep your stems exactly where you place them. In the shop, we use floral foam a lot, but I know for you designing at home, you probably don't have floral foam. You don't want to mess with that. A pin frog is a great solution that it's just eco-friendly and sustainable. So this is the newer version of a pin frog where it's this plastic material, but this is something that's been around for a very long time. I've been blessed that I had a friend's grandmother who was a master gardener. She collected pin frogs and arranged a lot. More of the traditional Ikebana style was what she was into, which I would love to learn more about. So these are traditionally what pin frogs were like. They're very, very heavy so that they wouldn't float in your vase. This one's a moon shape that's really cool. She had a few that, this one still has some random things in it, but she had a few that, kind of had a container in itself. So you didn't need another container. You could just arrange in this, or you could drop this down into a larger bowl. And then here's another variety that is glass that has the holes. And you would just take this and set it into, I don't know if this vase is going to work. Sure is. You would set it down into the vase and put your stems in that way. I love the idea of this one, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of flexibility. You can still find, and they still make the metal pin frogs, but this plastic one just makes it a little bit more cost effective. And again, it's lighter weight. They're just a little bit easier to manage. So I'm going to show you how to design in this today. I've used these in glass. I've used these in metal. I've used them in ceramic. What's nice is just to have the bottom of the vase or the bottom of your pin frogs a little bit damp so that the suction has something to stick to. Now, these old style ones did not have the suction cup. Sometimes we would take like a cling or almost like a tacky substance that would hold it down in the vase if we needed to. But since these are lightweight, we don't want them to float. They've got the suction cups, and these little suction cups are pretty darn strong. Once they're a little damp, the bottom of my vase is kind of damp, you can feel you start to get that suction. So you want to place it and press it down in your vase, and then it's not going to come out. Once you have it in place where you want it, then you can add water to your container. I'm going to start with my greenery to base my vase. And we've got this variegated pittosporum. So you always want to make sure none of the greens are going to be below the water line. I'm going to give my stem a nice clean cut. And I'm wishing my knife was sharper. I didn't bring my branch cutter. And you're going to spear it right onto your pin frog, and it's going to hold it in place for you. But lots of times when I'm teaching these tutorials and we're doing it in a vase, I'm going to talk about crisscrossing your stems so that it creates a grid so your flowers will stay in place. With the pin frog, it's not as important that you cross your stems. You just want to make sure that you are leaving enough space for your future stems. So if you want something at an angle, just be aware of how you're placing it. Still placing with the angle is going to help give you a round shape rather than everything standing straight up, unless that's the type of design that you are working towards. Next up, we have got, I'm going to do my cremones, or my large Fujimums. So these come with a little hairnet on them. If you've been in the Frequent Flower subscription for a while, you've seen these before. We love them. They're long lasting. They come in a lot of different colors. So you want to gently remove the hairnet. The hairnet is on there to protect them. You want to handle with care. Although they are hardy, if you pull off a bottom petal, the whole bloom will want to shatter. So all of these tiny little petals are connected, and if one starts to go, they all do. So you do want to handle with care. Go ahead and remove any of the foliage. When it comes to daisies, cremones, mums, spider mums, whatever you want to call them, disbuds, these leaves are the first to look sad. This bloom might last for 3 weeks. These leaves are only going to last 5 or 6 days, and they start to look really wilted and sad. So I always just remove all of them so that it's going to continue to look its best and I don't have to do it later. Once you take the little hairnet off, it's going to slowly start to open a little bit more. I always like to do that before I arrange. Now, sometimes when I have new designers, they want to leave the hairnet on and keep it protected as they are arranging. You certainly can do that. I like to take them off because I want to know how much space, how much volume it's taking up in the arrangement. Sometimes it's really hard to tell when those hairnets are on, and then you get done with your arrangement, you take them off, and they start to crowd and hide other elements of your arrangement. Next, I'm going to go ahead and clean my hypericum. I'm going to take off all these lower leaves. Again, we don't want them to hit the water line, and they're going to start looking sad before the berries do. On our astrantia, take off any of these lower leaves. So I have the 10 stem bouquet here, and I've got 5 of these cremones. We're just going to make kind of a nice symmetrical roundy moundy today. So I'm going to decide the height at which I want my top bloom to be. And I'm going to go right down in the middle of my pin frog. Look at that, our very first bloom going into staying put. How magical. So we do have these pin frogs available in Main Street Florist, and I've got 2 different sizes. So this is like a 3-inch round. We've also got a rectangular one that's about 1.5 inches by, I think like 2.5. Now I think I'm going to go in with my astrantia. I am going to cut apart some of these laterals, not all of them. Actually, like this cluster, I want it to fill this area here. I think these pin frogs are really fun too. If you're someone who likes to cut flowers out of your garden, just makes it really easy to arrange at home and play around with. And because they are that clear plastic, they sort of disappear below, that you don't really see the mechanics of it. All right, there we go. There is our simple arrangement this month with our cremones, our astrantia, and our hypericum berry, and then featuring our little pin frog. I hope you enjoy your flowers this month. Of course, if you have any questions, you can leave us a comment below or send us an email back from your subscription email. We love hearing from you guys. Hope you have a great month and happy early fall.